They see me grinding, they hating, controlling and trying to catch me riding dirty. Trying to catch me grinding dirty. Trying to catch me grinding dirty. I fucked it up and you stopped thinking, man.
Yeah, sorry. I just missed all the. Yeah.
That was a good version.
Yeah.
That was a good version.
Yeah, we just went through.
We came up with it yesterday at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So like, yeah, let's do that, man. That's a good idea.
Well, welcome, guys, to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for having us, Manny.
We haven't had this show, and I know we just met briefly, and I just met you, Jonathan, right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's good sitting down, and I'm glad that you guys are in town. You're going to be at CCE next week.
Oh, yeah.
Big show for you guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Very big show.
So, and you just came back from World of Concrete as well, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a big show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
We drove there and came back. It was a crazy ride.
What do you mean you drove there and came
Yeah,
back?
because we had to bring the machines with all the...
You drove to Vegas?
50
We drove
hours.
to Vegas.
I've done that when I was younger.
50 hours, yeah.
How long? Wow.
50 hours in, 50 hours out. We arrived last week.
Because you had everything in the back?
We had
Yeah.
a trailer, so we just bring all the machines, all the equipment to
It kind of
trucks.
makes sense, right? Because I don't know if Air Canada will allow carry-on.
I think it's a bit heavy for the plane.
A big carry-on.
Will not fit. Will not fit.
Yeah.
Just tag it. Tag
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
No, it makes sense. So, but are you doing the same thing here? The trailer's here now.
Yeah, the
trailer's in
here.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You guys always get a good response from CC, you know?
Always.
Always.
Because Canada loves concrete. America loves concrete too.
That's true.
I would say that we have a very, very big basin of people that works in the concrete, and it's, we've saw a lot of evolution in the concrete. And, before there was a smaller show that we were doing, with the building show, there was only a small concrete pavilion.
Yeah.
But now they started to do the whole CCE. And as you can see, in a few years, it's starting from a very small places into the, I think it's the exhibit center, the one close to the airport.
Yeah.
And now it's like 3 halls wide, so it's very big show. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's over 300 exhibitors. Is really good, and
Yeah.
lots of people come out there.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I guess, in the show's history of 6 years of doing the show, it's sunny
Yeah.
and no snow and no freezing rain and no blistering winter. It's like,
We're not going to complain.
well, I won't complain. I've been
complaining
enjoying it.
against
It's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I want to let everybody know we're going to have a really good conversation about concrete and you guys, HTG. And I got a lot of questions because I love the machines. I see the machines. I see the purpose behind the machines, but I want to get more educated on the machines, right? So that's why it's important. But I love that you started by saying that I think more and more care is being put into concrete,
Yeah.
right? That's what I'm seeing right now. Isn't that the case, right? But
It is with because there's a lot of danger related to it, with the dust and everything. So
And we're gonna get into that as well.
Care more about it. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of attraction getting around it to get it to do the job more efficiently. With the equipment now that getting out, you can see all the new tools that's for any kind of trades that work into that field right now, because it's one of the most I would say labor intensive.
I also think it's one of the most underutilized trade. There's lots of possibilities,
Yeah.
There
like
are.
especially with machines of yours, right?
Yeah.
Where you can start offering more sales,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me share the deeds first. Hang on a sec. So HTG is here, HTGNorthAmerica.com. I've got Guillermo here, and I've got Jonathan here. Sales manager is Guillermo, and then operational director
Yeah.
is Jonathan. And they're going to be at the Canadian Concrete Expo Hall number 3, booth number 3201. You can reach them on the mobile, which is 514-531-1729. And then the email to reach them is info@htgnorthamerica.com. The Instagram, too, is HTG North America. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it
Facebook,
is, right?
the same
Yeah.
thing.
Facebook,
Yeah.
same thing.
Exactly.
What's my first question? I want to talk about how old's the company?
So we actually started the project with HTG last year, but our former company, which is called PHX, that we operate very greatly in Quebec, that we've been dealing. It started in 2008, so we started manufacturing our own equipment in Quebec for I would say smaller contractor side. So we used to be former distributors of other equipment on the field, other brand, and one day with all the connection in America, a lot of people got bought off, and all those relations just went down. So we just decided to start our own manufacturing company and do the grinder that, you know, was missing in some parts. So one of the biggest issue that we always had a contractor side that operates with the grinder. And there was a big issue when you were trying to do a small room, like let's say here, 15 by 15.
Yeah.
Well, we were bringing a whole big line of equipment, let's say like $50,000 of equipment on 600 volts and, you know, the big stuff just to do that kind of size of job, because those small machines, they were just not effective. And a lot of people could relate to that, saying that, yeah, it's true. It's always been non-effective. So we just sat down and said, well, you know what? Montreal is a small market. We have a lot of office space, a lot of tight jobs, a lot of small, you know, businesses that, you know, went off, you know, shut down and remove. And so a lot of, you know, 500 to 2,000 square foot. So we just decided to create our own
There's
grinder.
a huge market for it.
Exactly. Well, we sold more than, you know, since 2008, we sold more than 1,000 units.
And all the machines are made in Quebec?
Yeah. All of them. All of them.
The abrasives as well, too?
They were.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So, but it's still, I mean, it's still under the
our
HTG.
brand, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I want to let people know, like, HTG stands for, or do you, yeah.
High-tech grinding.
High-tech grinding, right?
Yeah.
And I know off mic before we got started, we were talking about this, how it's all an education process. And it's like way back in my construction career when I did my first epoxy, and like, I didn't know about you guys. I didn't have the machine. I did the stupid thing about doing a surface grinder by hand.
Oof. The hard way.
To the point where I had to wear gloves because it was getting too hot.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
The cord was getting very hot, even though it was attached to a separate vacuum. But it wasn't like pleasant.
No, it's not. Actually, that's how most of the, you know, the small units from PHX they were sold to at first, is those guys that they were doing garage, getting a training. They were looking for a smaller machine, and they didn't want to invest, you know, that 30, 40, 50,000 to get one piece of equipment to make garage, you know, with the generator and everything. So, you know, we just came out with a very small portable unit that is very effective to do a garage in like 30 minutes, 1 hour. But most of the grinder in that
you
same
guys don't want to know how long it took me, right?
Exactly.
It took me the whole day.
I actually know that part. I've been doing that. I know your pain.
And I think that grinder is dead. I think it just died at the very end of it. It was just like it's done, right? But that's what happens, right?
It is.
So now you guys have these machines. You've set this up, and you see the market. And what I learned from that when I was speaking to people about surface preparation is almost like, I guess to dumb it down, but you guys can smarten it up. Concrete's a sponge, and there's like a little coating.
Yeah.
And you have to break that coating to get it prepared for the next step.
Exactly.
Right? And that's critical.
And most of the, I would say, the preparation work, I mean, it's always better to come back to the natural concrete to put a new covering on it. So it's always that, let's say you have the whole renovation field that every 4 or 5 years, you know, they change a store, they have to break it down the floor, and there's one thing under. There's a thin set of glue, there's a thin set, you know, of self-levelers, there's something there.
There's a buildup of all kinds
exactly.
of
So
adhesives.
sometimes all you have to do is get rid of it. That's where the machine comes in. And, you know, 100% of those concrete floor, well, they have this right now on it. So you actually, I'm not saying that you need it, but most of the people, they're involved in it.
So how do you guys make it look like it doesn't look like it's hard work? Like, is it hard work? I've never used the machine. I've only seen the machine. I haven't used it, but it seems like it's just butter. Like, it grinds easily.
Well, our machine, it's really effective, honestly, but it's kind of a challenge to operate because, you know, you can't just rely on the machine and go ahead with it. You got to look out for the pins, look out for what's happening on the floor. You know, you cannot just go on the remote control and forget about, you know. Jonathan can tell you more about it.
Yeah, we just actually, Guillermo just mentioned about the remote control. It's one of the biggest evolution in that field. And I mean, it's not recent. It's been there for at least 15 years.
It's pretty cool.
But now, you know, the biggest grinder that, you know, 32 inches and more, you normally have a remote control attached to it because it just works way much more efficient. And depending on what you're removing, well, let's say if you're removing something very, very thick, normally, you know, the machine kick back. So when you're doing the remote operation, well, you're just saving yourself, your back, you know, your body from pushing that big grinder, you know. So, yeah, that thing has been evolving a lot. There's been a lot of, you know, improvement and upgrades, you know, for all the I would say, the guys working out on the field to save them, to prevent it. Yeah. But when you go on the lower grinder, there's been a lot of improvement, you know, to actually prevent it, because it makes no sense of putting a remote control on a smaller units, but there's more way to put it to be more ergonomics, you know,
But
so it's going to be easier to work with them.
But even on our big grinders, like the 32-inch and the big one, the 38-inch, I've been talking to customers who have the remote control, and they're like, man, I love it. It's cool, but it's like kind of boring, you know, because the machine is so well balanced. It's like I can push it around. I don't feel that it weighs the way that it really weighs, you know. So I've been having.
What do you mean? Like it's kind of boring? It's kind of boring that the machine is doing
just,
all the work that it's supposed
you know,
to
you're
do.
right there
and you're
with
not
the
doing that much
remote.
work.
No, it means it's more engaging to push the machine, and you know, some guys really like that about the job.
Yeah, that's constructional techniques.
Really like,
but if you have your machines lined up and there's one that's remote and one that's not remote, I'm choosing remote.
a lot of guys will choose not remote. That's the comment we've been having.
I'm a little older.
I would say that what we're seeing right now, most of the business, you know, if it's a owner operator with 1, 2, 3, 4 employees, normally they would prefer to go with the remote control grinder, because, you know, they can educate their people around them. But what we see is, as we go in a bigger company, or let's say in the U.S., you go more in the South, well, they don't much care about, you know, I would say the remote version of it. They just want to push it, and that's it. But, you know, there's a lot of, you know, it's different business. You know, if you go more in the South, they have more open spaces, big warehouse, and, you know, that's where the remote comes a little bit, you know, useless in those kind of big jobs. But when you're doing in and out jobs and smaller job, and, you know, a lot of stuff has been built up on the surface. Yeah. That's where the remote comes in handy, because you can do 2 jobs in the same day, not being, you know, tired. But when you're doing that big floors, I mean, you just want to put grinders there, and some people that push it.
You said it earlier. I think the real advantage of the remote is the kickback. If you ever have a kickback, you're not there in the line of fire, so to speak, right?
Exactly. You're saving yourself.
Yeah, you're saving yourself. Yeah. So, and then, I mean, I guess as a one-man shop or a small business owner, their thought process is you have a person on the side with the remote, and are they really working? Well, yeah, they are, because they're working with the machine. The machine's doing all the physical work. Yeah. They're doing all the mental work, right? Yeah. That's just how it is.
Exactly. And the other thing is, most of those small company, they don't operate from the, you know, big truck. They operate from, you know, a pickup truck and a trailer.
Yes.
And a trailer involves a ramp.
Yes.
And if you have that remote control that is battery powered, well, you can just put it in and wheel it inside without, you know, pushing it. Yeah. So you're preventing the risk. Well, we live in Canada, so most of it has snow. So, you know, when you're
not
moving,
today.
Not today. We're lucky, but in Montreal, it's not the same thing actually. So, but when you're loading it up, it's much more easy, you know, on the body. I mean, it's 1,400 pound, a 32-inch grinder. So pushing up a ramp, you need to be 2, 3. There's danger involved.
Of course.
So when you got the remote, you just wheel it in, strap it, and it's finished.
How many different machines are there that you guys are carrying right now?
In the grinders, we have the small 460, the 550, 680, 820. So in grinders, we have, including the tank, we have six grinders.
Plus 6 different models.
Yeah, 6 different.
That are different sizes.
Yeah. Then we have the edger to do the edges, so 7. And we have 2 shot blasters, a 10-inch, 20-inch. And we have the Scarifier line, so we have a 10-inch and a 12-inch.
A 10-inch and a 12-inch.
8-inch and 12-inch, yeah.
So actually, we're relating to your hand grinder that you were saying before.
It's dead and buried.
We can save you.
Now there's an evolution to that. There's called an edger. So it's actually, you stand behind it, and it has the same purpose. You can, you know, put the head on one side or the other side, and you can work your hedges or put it straight and just do the
How close
the middle.
can you get?
It's actually 1/4. Same thing as a grinder.
Wow.
You know, the shroud is open on one side.
Yeah, you open up the shroud.
Exactly.
But the problem with opening up the shroud is you get a little bit of smoke, dust, airborne.
And if you put a good vacuum on it, you need the right vacuum.
Yeah.
You know, it's as good as the grinder that you're putting in front of you. So if you're working with a very good vacuum, well, I'm sorry to say this, but you can't put a shop vac on it.
No.
Because it doesn't make sense.
No.
You know,
but you guys also have those hoses and the accessories and everything.
Everything.
You've thought about everything connected to the process of doing this grinding, right?
Yeah. From a small vacuum for somebody that does, you know, small grinders, to a very big vacuum for people that, you know, work with those big beasts.
Currently, we have 3 models?
Yeah.
3 models of vacuum. We have one coming up. It's a prototype, so.
Are they like HEPA? They're HEPA.
Yeah, it needs to be HEPA. For silica dust, you need to be HEPA.
Now, does it do the pounding? Does it do the sound or no?
So
the one that's prototype that's coming, it has automatic pulse.
What's it sound like? Like a a drum or something? Like it must be loud.
No, it's
not so
actually
loud,
because
it's-
it's all in case. You don't hear that much noise. So one of the big factor when we're in Vegas, a lot of people, the biggest thing that they were saying is how quiet both units are. Because you're just standing next to it and you can still speak with some people. Yeah. So that's how I would say from the engineering of the machine right now, that show how how good and how well it's done. Because you don't hear any metal clanging, and because the turbines are all enclosed, in some boxes, so it prevents the noise, from coming out. So
that's the sorry.
Also, the option that we have about the speed adjustment, it really makes a difference because with the same vacuum, you can use different kind of grinders and adapt the speed of the vacuum.
Depending on how much you're grinding and the volume of dust that's coming out.
If you're polishing, you can bring it down a bit. It doesn't make that much noise. It's, better environment, So.
Were you guys able to, I guess in Vegas, to turn the machines on and people could see it, but here at building you weren't allowed to turn the machines on?
We have...
we were allowed to, but it's a little bit complicated, to bring the whole generator from 600 to the smaller voltage and everything. So we just, we got the plug, but we just decided last minute that we're not going to do it because just, at the end of the show, if you guys want a demo, we're just going to do it,
But you can see it, right? But
exactly.
Are you planning on doing a demo at CCE?
No. After the CC, we're just going to gather up the leads, and if somebody wants a demo, we have a unit here in Mississauga, so if you want to see it running, which is going to be much more simple, we can run multiple units, we can go on your job site, show you the units running.
That's something that we really like to do with the customers when they're interested and want to see a couple units. We really like to go with you guys on the job, go with the client on the job, and
it makes sense,
and do it with them on the job site, and that's really makes an impact because when they put their hands on it and see it running, besides their equipment or what they have, or people from their company getting into the equipment, and you see the guys want to work with it, it's just really cool to do it. So it's really that we really like to push forward in our approach. We don't mind doing the work, but it's really something that we
it's like you have to see it. Once you see it and experience it, you understand it. But that's like my next question to you guys is, how easy is the typical concrete contractor embracing this? Or are they questioning, thinking this is too good to be true, this is too easy? I'm used to hard work on the site.
Well, I think sometimes it's more about the bad experience they had with some equipment. I think right now in the industry, there's a bit of customers are having a hard time with reliability and parts availability, advice from their rep. I just talked to a guy in Vancouver. He bought 8 machines from a competitor in 3 years or 2 years, and the guy never saw the rep. Can you imagine that, man?
It's
buying 8 machines, never seen the rep.
And those units are 40 to 50,000 each. So imagine.
So when we push forward the service, the approach we give, sometimes customers are these guys really gonna do the work they say they do? And
so there is a little bit of the industry has this kind of hesitation.
But when they see us coming in and doing the work and backing it up and answering the phone on a Saturday or a night during the week, they're okay, these guys, they back up their product and they're there, So
well, because you have to understand. If there's a problem, something goes wrong, or if I got a question, maybe I don't know how to do everything. Maybe I don't understand all the capabilities of it. Like you were just saying earlier, how you can tone down the amount of power of suction on the vacuum. Like you might not need full when you're doing a specific sod.
So we had guys who had 10, 15 years experience. They rented out the shaver. It's really complicated equipment to run. To lower down the floor, you can adjust the millimeters. You can either cut or you can saw. So it's crazy equipment. I love that machine. But the guy has 15 years.
You're shaving concrete?
Yeah.
So that's one of the most, I would say, not new machine, but that's a machine that's not well known to a lot of people, is when you want to level down the concrete or actually just cut down, let's say 1 inch on a full surface. Before there was scare fires, so the carbide cutters.
It's a more aggressive way to grind
and the
it
noise,
down.
And the noise.
But it's noisy and dusty and not happy.
It's
noisy,
crazy, and the work is crushing down the concrete, so you're doing a lot of vibration.
Yeah.
So unless you're working on the floor, let's say you're, I'm not saying structural floor, but base floors, first level, you can do it. But as soon as you're working structural floors, those big scare fires normally they vibrate the structure too much, so they prohibit them.
Our shaver weighs almost 1,000 pounds, so it really makes it efficient. So sometimes the cutters, it can affect the structure.
Yeah.
Shaving
so shaver means saw blades.
Yeah.
So instead of crushing down the concrete, you're cutting it. Different ways of working.
I want to see this.
Yeah, this
we'll have it at the show.
This one of the unit that it exists since a couple of years, but nobody knows really how to push it because it takes a lot of experience to operate it, because to understand what you're doing with it. But once you get the edge of it, I mean, it's much more reliable than any kind of machine you can get on a surface right now to cut down I would say a bump or level 2 concretes. I mean, we got contractor now that, let's say they have a big job to do, and let's say that they have to correct 1/4 to 3/8 of imperfection on the whole surface. So let's say 300,000 square foot, and they have to correct the whole thing. Instead of, applying self-levelers and cement and repair stuff everywhere and just grinding it down, I mean, those spots, they can fail, at some point. So instead, they went with another way. They went down and shaved the concrete 3/8, get down to the natural concrete and just grind it down after smooth, and then they applied the sealer. So instead of having to repairs everywhere, they're just having the bare concrete. But without a shaver, you can't do it.
Isn't it better to go that route? Because even if you went the other route with self-leveler, you'd still have to prepare the concrete for the self-lever to adhere.
Exactly. And
so
then
that's doing twice the amount of work.
And you have to apply that warranty to the self-levelers.
Yes.
So let's say something happened, it falls out, and it pops off. Well, you have to take care of it.
And the guys had like 80-ton lift.
Yeah.
It's going to be a shop, so doing repairs.
The self-lever is going to crack.
Exactly.
So it will crack eventually.
So we went down with another way to explain to the customer, when we were working with those, with those guys, we went with a new system and explained that instead of, building up over the concrete, well, just shave it down. I mean, you're just removing 1/4 to 3/8. So you're not affecting your concrete. You're on the floor direct. So most of the time you can do it, and you're saving the whole self-levelers, and you're saving yourself from doing warranty calls. You're just grinding it off, sealing it, and then it's finished.
It's a sound slab at that point.
Exactly. So, that's part of the education, Some machines are newer on the market, but we have to educate the people on how to use them and what to do with them, because sometimes they don't see where they can use it. But after when we explain to them, well, they see new
they
opportunity.
Get it. Like, I've never heard of this. I'm not like I still love concrete as part of the construction industry, but you guys are coming up with toys that are making our lives so much easier, right?
Much more easier. More easier.
And these are like, what kind of a situation where you would need to shave an inch? Like, what is it? Just build up over time of certain structures, certain retail, certain commercial, certain anything.
That's exactly.
We had one in Montreal downtown
just before Christmas.
Oh, that one was really bad.
Was it retail?
It's actually
it was going to be an office for a company, and it was a building that was there for quite some time. And when they removed the tile and everything, the floor was just like really uneven. Like they had
and they merged the new entrance, and they had some from the walls that they had in a certain elevation that they had to respect from the floor to the ceiling. So when they ordered the whole material and everything, well, they figured out that the whole floor was 1 inch too high. So all the door frames and everything were not fitting. So they had to shave down 1 inch from 3,000 square foot.
Almost
Took like 3 weeks.
And this machine is like specifically designed for this.
That's exactly
and
what
it does it. It does.
Took a lot of training, because it was the second time these guys rented it out, and even the second time they were still having trouble to operate the machine, because a lot of people try to like dig too much and go too fast, but you're just damaging the drum, damaging the blade. Is not the way to do it, because you had to adjust the height and
How do you start and stop it? Because I'm assuming you come in at a certain angle, or no?
It's actually the way a Scarefire is designed, because it's built off the same design. I mean, you have a wheel that adjusts, the heights from up and down.
Okay.
So basically, when you want to start, you just lower the drum down, and then you got a height indicator on it. So you know that if you're going 10 millimeter down, well, you're gonna make 10 millimeter, in front of you.
Yeah.
You're just gonna shave it.
Why can't this just be like renting a car, and we as contractors can just rent it? No, you can't, because you need the training.
Exactly.
It's important for the training, right?
Those guys that rented before Christmas, we had to go there, with them. They had trouble. Most of their work, they were doing it on the weekend, because, it's office building. So everything has to be done in the night, but then the weekend, you can do it all day long. So you get much more labor. It's much more easy to find people. So we were going there on the Saturday and Sunday to actually train them and, show them how to use the equipment and, do the whole thing. So when we're saying that we like to, go there and explain and do the training, that's the whole thing that we're doing. Because if we don't do it, well, those guys, they won't be thinking about purchasing, a shaver.
Well, the training makes sense, though. because it's just going to make you more efficient. Like right now, my wheels are just spinning. I'm just thinking about things that you can use this for and the opportunities. Yeah. But it makes sense to sit down with you guys and do the training, get that education so you understand what it's going to. Obviously, you're going to probably start your first job and still have more questions. That's where the number comes in, where you reach out to you and go and listen.
Yeah, obviously,
this is how it's starting. This is where I'm at. This is where my beginning point. Probably even do a FaceTime.
Yeah.
And just start talking to you guys at that point, right? Yeah. And then you at least have the basic training on there. Now you start using the machine, and then you can start seeing. I've always said the tool. Let the tool do the job.
Exactly. That's always something we do it when we rent, or even if you purchase an equipment. We always go on the job site. We do the training. We spend a couple hours with the guys just to make sure everything is fine and you can get the max out of the equipment. Because
each first delivery that we've been doing with PHX and HTG since the beginning, we deliver it on end. So any sales, the first one you're getting, even if you have 3, 4, 5, 6 other grinder, we like to deliver it as the first time to make sure that you know exactly all the tips and tricks from that machine, because every machine on the market has something quite unique to it. Mm-hmm. So we like to make sure that you're comfortable with it and it's not sitting in a corner. Because if you're comfortable with it and you're working with it, or you're actually you're going to be buying tooling and you're going to be doing work with it and you're going to be loving the product and you're going to be buying a second one.
Recommending us.
Well, because you're going to start calculating how much money you're making because you're moving faster, you're becoming more efficient, your crew is happier, you have opportunities of other jobs coming in, the word is getting out that you can handle it, so now you get the phone call, so now you get the job, and so on and so on and so on.
Exactly.
We had a guy in Montreal, he really takes good care of his equipment, of his machines and everything. Well, his name is Simon, and he has a lot of HTC machines. He used to have, now he has high-tech grinding, but he just said to Joe, right now with the new machines I have from you, he bought a 680 and an 820. He just purchased another 680. He said, man, I'm thinking of growing my team. I'm thinking of growing my business. I can do stuff I didn't used to do before. I'm 20% faster. It's like, it's really nice to hear those comments about the customers. It's really cool.
So talking about like the difference between, some other brand on the market, one of the biggest thing is right now, every time that we put the grinder from HTG, high-tech grinding, into, somebody's hand that has another grinder or a different brand, they just fall in love with it. Because, most of the time, those grinders, they're belt-driven. So belt-driven means, there's all the drums is driven by a belt. So sometimes it can be more fragile. So sometimes it can, it can spin, freely and break the belts. So people, they're more cautious about what they're doing. Our grinder is gear-driven. So, when you're
more control,
you have more control, like and everything is more tight.
It's a gear,
exactly. But when you're doing heavy stuff with it, that's where the big difference you're going to see is going to be there. You're going to be way much more efficient, and we are not shy to say it, because everyone that has tried it right now is just completely shocked right now how faster they can go, how deeper they can dig with the grinder, how faster they can remove some stuff compared to all the others. And that's exactly why we're doing a lot of demos right now, and we're traveling with everyone and we're showcasing those units, because it's just shocking to see that there's some grinders on the market that they are there, but people don't know about them. So that's why we took the whole brand with us, and we're just applying our contractor, knowledge that we have from the past, and we're just, showing to those guys that, there's a more effective units right now in the market. You maybe don't know about it because it's not well supported, but now we're here and we're supporting it, and we're doing the warranty calls, and we're doing everything with it. If you want to try it, just call us. We're going to get to your job, and we're going to do it with you.
How was it done before, guys? Like before all this great technology came up? It's obviously you guys designed this and put it all together and built it because there was a demand for it. Was it a bunch of like me guys had smaller tools that were fighting the way to do this? Is that how it was done before?
You mean when we started first?
No, just before, way before, like 20, 30 years ago. Like how were surface grinding? Was it an option to surface grind back then? Or was it surface leveling was the option only?
So actually my father, his background is he was an installer. So when I was 7 years old, he has his own company and he was installing floor, carpets, tiles, and everything. And one day he saw somebody with not a swing machine, but a very old. It's an older, we called it planetary grinder. It was one of the first machine on the market, and he saw this, and he saw one guy, trying to remove some glue with it. And at this point, he just said that it's going to be the future at some point. And so in 2000, he founded one company in Montreal, and he started, searching for grinder on the market. And that's exactly how it started off. He said one day it's going to be spec'd out. And he said, at some point, everyone's gonna need a grinder and just remove the glue, because it just makes sense that before applying a new tile or a new stuff, you have to, go back to the concrete and make sure you get your warranty. So that's exactly how it started, on our background. And then we started to see, some flaws in the big brand that were on the market. As like I said earlier, the smaller grinder. There was a big issue that if you wanted to do a small job, you had to bring out the big truck, the big thing. So that's exactly how our thing started. So,
but it was all trial and error at that point, trying to figure out how to make it work, because it was bigger machinery, right? How much is it? Is it a balance between the machine and the actual grind, the diamond, like the actual blades themselves? Or
there's a balance. I mean,
even
if the machine is better, let's say you have the best machine right now in your hand, and you put the wrong tool on it. Well, you could be doing 200 square foot with a toolbox, and
it's really an important part
inefficient. So the tools is as good as the machine you're using, and that's part of the education that we're doing.
Sometimes I talk to customers like, my concrete is really hard, so I gotta use a hard bond diamond. And like, no, man, your diamonds are gonna melt, you're gonna lose money, and some people just do stuff and they don't have
even acquire it and talk to you guys first. Because my first question would be like, call you guys up, try to tell you the age of the building, try to gauge what that concrete, who poured it, what kind of, I guess, MPA it is, like how it was, or what's on there right now, if it was already your demoed old tile or glue or something. Like, you try to get as many questions.
That's really what's important for us, to ask those questions, because sometimes customers will tell you this and that, and when you dig and you ask the right questions, it's like, no, I
want to tell you guys, I'm almost thinking of the mindset of maybe doing a small core and then showing you guys the core and trying to get that core and identify what's those layers of the core, so I get a better sense of the concrete and what that concrete was all about.
So there's we have a kit that we sell that it's publicly available to, you can purchase it almost everywhere. It's a hardness test.
The hardness kit,
exactly.
I saw that.
So this, I would say, is the most basic tool, and is if you're starting into the concrete grinding industry, you need a kit like that to actually just, try to pinpoint you what kind of slabs you're dealing with. So if you have tile on the surface and glue, I mean, it's not changing the fact that you're going to get the job. But when you're starting grinding, you just want to make a small patch test, and then you're just going to scratch the floor and adjust to that hardness that you're facing. So if you're going against a soft concrete, well, you want a harder bond to be more resistant to abrasion. And if you get a harder concrete, well, you're going opposite. You want a softer bond to make sure that the diamond stays exposed and you get a good concrete profile. So a lot of people, they don't understand that. They just, put the wrong tool on the machine. They say, well, I'm having a hard time in 4 hours doing a 10 by 10. I'm saying it's all about the tools,
It's a tool.
The machine, I can take the same machine and, grind a 10 by 10 in 30 minutes. But it's all about the tools.
Even if you're bidding on the job, you still look like a rock star if you start suggesting, let me find out the hardness. Here's my kit.
Way much more professional.
And then answer all these questions and share all this information.
Exactly.
Me as a person who's tendering it out and I'm trying to figure out who am I going to award this job to, it's going to be the person who answers all my questions.
Exactly.
Not hesitate on my questions, right?
Exactly. It changes the way that you're looking in front of the contractor and the client you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And instead of being just a guy that's coming to, above the surface, you look like the guy that know exactly what you're doing. So it changes, the way they see you. And actually after that, they will actually ask advice from you.
Exactly.
At this point, you're not selling the job. You're getting the job.
But this is construction. It's really about relationships. It's about friendships.
Exactly.
Especially if you're investing. It's like you guys are investing in my business and I'm investing in my business. And I've always said that anybody that you want to align with, you should align with people that care about your business as much as you care about your business. Because that's hard to find, right? When it comes to employees and things like that. So if you can get suppliers that are helping you out with your business and they care about your business, it makes sense. So now you've got their number. You can call them up. There's an issue. I could talk to them. This is a situation. And you're only going to grow from there, no?
Yeah.
100%.
That's how it works. That's how good construction companies start growing,
Exactly.
right? So now you guys have, sorry, what was the smallest machine diameter-wise?
It's 18-inch.
18-inch. And the biggest is 36?
Oh, yeah, almost 37. Almost 38, the 955, yeah.
And then you have a ride-on, that has 2 head attached of 32 inches.
I didn't
and
see
then
the
you
ride
sit
on one.
It's going to be
It's
at the
called
show.
a tank. It's going to be at the CCE.
Yeah.
Are all of them black?
Uh,
Are they all black?
Black
yeah,
and red.
black,
Yeah,
and, red.
That's what I thought.
Everything.
All of them. Yeah, they look pretty slick.
Yeah. The
they are.
whole brand is black and red.
Yeah,
But
the
yeah, it's
tank
gonna be
is,
showcased. Yeah, it has a 2 head, and there's
Two
one big,
37 inch?
32 inches head, and they actually overlap each other, so you don't have a joint in the middle, so you just make a nice 62 inches profile. 2,500 pound of grinding pressure. It's one of the most heaviest pressure you can get on the market right now, and it has a vacuum attached to it, so it's a complete unit. You don't have to buy a separate vacuum; just buy the whole unit, sit on it, put the diamond, and then just grind.
And your power is going directly to a generator that's
runs on 480. You
480.
need 65 amps to
got
run
it.
it.
Yeah, so you're
Exactly.
drawing a lot of power, but you need that, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, but with a unit like that, you should be aiming at least doing 20,000 square foot a day.
Do you have to factor in if it's a big boy or a small boy that gets on the machine?
It's a big seat, so we're good.
But it doesn't lower the machine a tiny bit, or no? It doesn't
Change-
matter? It doesn't change
the
it?
machine-
If you got a small jockey, you got a big jockey? Like, I don't
So
understand.
the machine as itself weighs 6,000 pounds.
So it won't sink a little bit at all?
It's not changing anything. It's hydraulic, and it actually has an hovering function. So it's actually making the head float, and all each head has a suspension built in. So the weight that you're putting in the middle doesn't change anything. The head as itself, it has its own pressure.
Is it fun to drive?
It is. Well, if you put if you put music in your ears,
Yeah, or listen to a podcast.
exactly.
We should build in a speaker.
Yeah, we should have speakers in the back.
No, don't make it like a big Harley Davidson with the speaker and the stereo
Just
set.
gonna be missing the
Everybody
coolers on
can
the
hear the
side,
music
yeah.
that you're listening to. No, don't do that. Put it on the headset. So it's that big, huh? And those
Yeah,
are for
it is.
big warehouse or big
Exactly.
spaces,
Yeah.
right? That you just got to
Exactly.
get the job done quickly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So basically, one of our customer in Toronto right now, he's a guy that we're not gonna name them, but
No.
they make a lot of big warehouse. They actually aim at that because instead of having right now they have a 3-head grinder, but they have to buy a separate vacuum to attach to it to make sure it's powerful enough. Well, he said that's a very good, solution to. I could just put one guy on the unit and just, manage the cable, and everything's built in. So that's why he's very interested to see it. But it's mostly done for big warehouse or those Amazon and stuff like
Yeah.
that they build.
So now you mentioned a little bit earlier about the wrong hardness of diamond, depending on the hardness of the concrete. Sometimes if it's a softer concrete, you don't need the harder because it's just going to burn it. Is that what you were talking about?
No, let's say if
or is it the other way around?
Is the way around. So
Okay.
let's say if the guy said, the concrete is really hard, so I need a hard bound diamond.
That's the go-to thought, right?
No,
but that's not.
you
It's
need
the other way
you need
around.
it soft,
And
So it's down to building the advice and everything. So that's something that we're really working on doing right now is building up the High Tech Academy. Something we want to do, like to add value to the customer and help out, the guys out there to build value in their business, So we did the first module on electric power. So understanding the electric power,
What it draws.
what it draws from the building, the transformator, what you need in the machine, the
how big the
amperage.
cable you need.
the
A lot of
plugs.
people, they messes that, They think that because instead of
gauge.
going 480, you can buy a unit on 240 and plug it
No.
anywhere.
No.
But we have to actually explain to them that if that unit on the 480 is pulling, let's say, 30 amps, well, we're just going to do quick maths. Not exactly how it is, but, just it's going to be close to it. But 240 is going to be like 60 amps. 60 amps is not the same cable size as 30 amps. So we're explaining, yes, you have a difference, of not having to invest into a generator. But instead of using, let's say, 10 gauge cable for 30 amps, you're going to be using number 6. It's going to be twice the cost. And it's going to be twice the
weight.
the weight. So
Fucking
you have
heavy.
to manage that.
But you guys have done that. You understand the specs. You've created the machine, so all of a sudden you know what's required.
That we do. Most of them, they're sold on the 480, but a lot of people, they think that that's part of the education why we're doing the module and the electrical part is because a lot of people think because you're going 240, you're just going to be saving the time from using a transformer
No, it
and
doesn't
everything.
work that
We're
way.
explaining
But then
that
you need to have so much space in the panel, and sometimes that's not easy,
exactly, and
to have that right amperage on the panel.
and the higher the voltage is, the easier it is to extend the cable. The lower the voltage is, the harder it gets, and the bigger the cable needs to be. So a lot of times, people, we just have to explain to them that if you're trying to work 400 feet, from your power source, well, if you're doing it with a smaller voltage, you're probably going from number 6 to number 4 then, and it's just, and that same extension, instead of costing $1,000, is going to be costing $4,000. So,
hardness is on the actual blades themselves, on the diamonds. Like, you guys, a variety of different you guys have that you offer?
We have all the grits, all the bonds from extra soft to extra hard, from 16 to 150.
And then you get into the whole polishing world as well too.
Oh, we have the pads.
So like, what is it? I mean, like,
pads.
we're not talking about like 40 grit here. It ain't 60 grit. Like, we're not talking that. This is a whole different ball game, right?
Yeah, you're starting at like 50 grits for the transition pad. There's 30 grits too, but it's not an often situation. But let's say normal transition is going to be like 50, and then you're going to go 100, 200, 400, 800, 1500, and then you have the option of 3000. But most of the people, they never go that far because you don't need to.
Well, 1500 is for polishing.
Yeah, for polishing. And then
polishing beautiful concrete.
You're going to be mirror. At 1500, you should be mirror.
But we're not going to name the guy, but they were doing a school somewhere and about polishing, and they were using our 955.
Okay.
And maybe you can tell more about it. Because of the weight in the machine and the passes they cut, and
one of the big,
pretty impressive.
Yeah. So one of the big evolution of tooling, it's in the polishing side. So let's say that the grinding side, I mean, there's different bonds, but it's almost the same thing now, from one company to others, okay? But if you go on the polishing side, there's been a lot of evolution. So there's been like now the ceramic pad, there's a lot of hybrid pad, and a lot of people, they don't know about it. So we started a project in Montreal in a school, and we did a test. So we used the grinding pressure of the 955, the biggest grinder that we have, the 36 inches grinder. It's almost 1,700 pounds.
Almost 18. 1740.
1740, sorry.
Yeah.
So, and
the pad.
No, the grinder as itself.
Okay.
So it's very heavy.
Yes.
So we tried one thing. We said maybe we can cut down the metal pass. So the first segments that we're supposed to use to open up the concrete, because that concrete was brand new and the finish was perfect. So we tried to go over with a ceramic pad, which is it's a pad. It's a ceramic bond.
Instead of starting with the metals, just directly with transition.
Exactly. We go directly with transitional pad. And we used 30 grits. We loaded up that unit, and we're actually able to pass through the cream one pass and expose salt and peppers.
Really?
So instead of having all the troubles from going to the 40 and the 80 grits and the 150 like before, we're able to right now use new tools, more advanced tools, and you put it under a very heavy grinder and just go through that cream pass. So we're saying 3 passes. So anyone can count right now. The thing is, a lot of people, they count the price on the toolbox, but the thing is, the real cost on the job is your labor time.
Yeah.
So if you're saving 3 passes on 2,000 square foot,
you're saving a lot of
labor. You can count the time you're saving for your guys. Even on the grinder, you're just saving the whole time. So that's part of the polishing side. There's a lot of tools that right now people don't know about that we've been showing to some people. And it's funny because in Montreal they're now building a lot of schools. We took that same process to another company in a different school, like 20 minutes from the other one. We showed them exactly the same process to that other company, and they just said, "Well, I just spent 3 days, 2 guys in one room. I could have done it in 1 day." So he said, I'm just going to buy the machine and the pads.
So what's more profitable at that point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's part of, education. But, on the polishing side, there's a lot of new tools that we try to, show to the people and, explain to them. But because of the grinder, it weighs more than traditional grinder belt-driven. It changed the way that, you can operate now. So, that's the whole thing and mix that we're doing right now. When we go on a job site, we try to, teach and educate as much as we can to make you save time and be more profitable on the job.
Are you seeing younger companies more inclined to go this way, where buy the right machine to make my business more efficient?
I feel that, yes. I
see it happening.
I feel
they see the value in spending that money, knowing that it's going to be cheaper and more profitable by going this way.
Yeah,
exactly. And sometimes we talk to new customers, new guys starting their business pretty young, and they look at the competition and they come see us, they see the advice we give, they see the value in this kind of equipment and starting off the right way, So I feel that's a smart move to do because, you get the right advice, you get the right warranty, our grinders have 3-year warranty. So it's like, yes, you're getting this type of equipment where you have something to back it up. So,
what you're saying is really true, man. Is as we see, right now, the younger people, they're more aware of what's happening, but they're more open-minded, to, discuss. I would say that right now, they can easily get information out there. So a lot of people, they attach to the bigger brands. But the thing is, when you're, I would say, ready to, learn and see other people, when we, come into the deal, they really want to listen and, understand. So when we go to a job and, show them, about the new grinder and everything, they're less, I would say, feared to try it out. And actually, they're more easy to get in the, into a new machine and new tools to try it out, But with the former generation of my father, it was impossible.
No, I agree with you.
Even in Montreal, because my father is one of the former company that grinds concrete.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that were starting their business around him. He trained actually like 2-3 of the biggest prep company in Montreal right now, and those companies, they just said, well, everything that comes around PHX or whatever it is, former to that family, I just don't want you to do anything with it. But as soon as, those guys, they retire, so we're starting to see it right now. So as me, I'm taking over, and same thing with their son in their company, they're taking over too. We're starting to see, and we just had in Vegas, one guy went to the booth, and I used to, play around with him when I was young, and he just said, well, my father is retiring right now, so I'm open to just come see your machine and your stuff, and, there's no war anymore. So, yes, the younger...
It's a numbers game.
Exactly.
I'll give you an example. 15 plus years ago when I did my first basement reno, and I always did a separation of the base from the concrete from the plywood. You put insulation, and then I would have to tapcon each sheet of plywood into the concrete. I only had a hammer drill. So 28 per sheet times whatever, it was 1,500 square feet. Took me a day and a half to install those tapcons. But then I quickly realized you buy an SDS gun, took me hours to install the same amount. So you buy the right tool, and you do the job in a fraction of the time, and you actually move on to the next stage. You finish the job faster, you get another job. Now you're becoming profitable. It's almost like you need the younger generation, which I think they're already doing it, but you need the older generation listening to their accountant.
Exactly.
Saying this job took this long, but if it would have taken this long, you would have made this much more money.
Exactly. It's a mix of two right now.
Yeah. That's why it's a nice balance. So that's why I like seeing the younger, and they're doing this for business. They're doing it for tools. Everybody's doing it for they're trying to figure out how to make their businesses more efficient, which becomes more competitive, which means that you'll get the job, which means you could do more work, hire more people, and grow.
Exactly.
So there's value attached to all of that. I want to ask you guys, how do you guys keep, it's like zero dust, man? Like it's zero. Is it like, what is it zero? Is it like there's 99.9 or something like that? It's next to no dust.
No, it really depends on the kind of heavy prep that you're doing, We saw it on some heavy
clean concrete floor, and now you grind.
There was a bit of dust, but there's no dust in the air.
So,
it's a kind of a dust-free environment,
which is a health thing, right?
Exactly.
100%.
So the whole purpose of the vacuum right now is to make sure you're working dust-free. Dust-free mean you shouldn't have any airborne dust.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's one thing you can't control. Let's say that the concrete is super soft. Well, at some point, the vacuum is not the vacuum itself won't be able to, remove everything from under the grinder. But there's going to be one thing: if your grinder is well designed and you have your skirt around it that create the pressure inside, well, you're going to prevent from having airborne dust.
Yes.
That's the dust you want to prevent.
Yes.
Because you want to make sure that all the workers around you, they work safely. But still, when you're doing dry grinding, you still have to wear a mask as your PPE. That's no choice. The only way to make sure that this dust is at zero is to do wet grinding. But this is getting out of, most of it. So all the guys, what they do now is they get a very good vacuum. They get the proper setup. So, all the grinder now, most of them, they're all designed, as the bottom skirt is going to be all metal based.
Okay.
And there's going to be a nice rubber shroud around it to prevent, the dust from coming out. And then they're just going to work into, a designed area, and they're just going to prevent, the worker from walking in that area until it's completely cleaned from any dust. So it's a dust-free environment. There's no airborne dust, but still, you have to make sure that, when you work around, you work smart, with it.
And I feel so much people forget how important a good vacuum is sometimes, honestly. I know.
Tell it to the electrician.
Just talk to me about the grinder, but what about the vacuum?
The vacuum is critical. Like I don't.
You have a shop vac?
You once you get into the world of HEPA and you understand the value of a variable grind or a vacuum, like and attachments and connections, and it's just walking on the job site. Like we're back in my early days, like it was normal to see a wall of dust, and that's not healthy. Right,
that's not at all.
But the requirement of still having a mask, is that just a building code requirement? Like that's just a Ministry of Labor requirement, even though there's no surface dust in the air because the machine is and the vacuum is containing it.
That's still OSHA. It's a OSHA regulation.
Okay, so
it's
they want
still
it.
health and safety. You have to wear a mask because it's silica dust. So they want to make sure that even if there's anything happening, you're walking into the dust, so it can come up a little bit. So they always required to have the mask. The only time that you can get rid of it is if you do wet grinding.
That's the only time. Okay.
And, most of the people, they don't do that anymore because it's just too complicated.
Now, you guys also have the scrubber, right?
Yeah.
So, and would that help as well, too?
Yeah. So, actually, what we're seeing right now is not only it prevents for the dust, but the scrubber, it does help you for the odor. So, when you're grinding glue or epoxy...
It goes airborne, the chemical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you those particles, even if you don't see dust, you still get the smell. So what the scrubber does is not only it filters the dust, but it filters the odor too. So we've seen a lot of jobs in like let's say the brick store, or they don't close the whole store. They just renovate some small section and they just put tarp to prevent you from seeing inside. But still, if you're grinding or polishing, grinding that concrete or removing that glue, there's the particle that smells.
You'll see. Yeah.
If you put the scrubber, you actually help and prevent, that odor from coming out. So you actually, create a better experience for the store. So it's a way to elevate your game, As that's how we sell it to the contractor. So it's not only about, filtering the air, but it's filtering the odor too. And it's just, a better way to make sure that, you're working dust-free, but you're working
I never thought about
odor-free.
the odor. The odor makes a lot of sense because it's true. Like we've all been there where you start... Even if it's a small area and you start just cutting towards it, it just smells a certain way because you're heating up the chemicals inside the glue. Yeah.
Sometimes you're pouring epoxy, and even if it's there's no solvent into it and it's VOC compliant, most of the time if you're working office space, there's a smell to it, the resin smell.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they go, I'm feeling sick and everything, even if that there's no really danger of that. They just want to sit there. But if you're you're combining the scrubbers to your offering and saying, I can work into a space and put some units to really prevent that odor from coming out. Maybe it can prevent you from working into a night shift and going into a day shift because you're just helping yourself with those tools that you have around you.
Now, scrubbers power is still an issue too, right? You got to be conscious of the power that it's drawing, and it should not be like you have to be aware of how much power is being drawn, right?
Exactly. So the scrubbers actually, now the scrubber that we have, the version, we removed the second outlet that there was that was on it because the first version that we had, there was a second outlet on it to daisy chain them. So let's say that you want to put 2-3 scrubbers in chain, you could do it. But a lot of people, they were using that outlet as a
iPhone charger.
As an iPhone charger or a 3-way plug, pulling way much more ham than you're supposed. And the way that it's designed, the power has to, it's only diverted from the main board. So, the people used to blow up those boards. So we had to replace all of them. And, we did a lot of warranty calls on them, even if, we had some boards that came in the shop and they were completely punctured from something, and we just went completely aware that there was an issue on the field, and we just didn't look at it, we just changed them. But now we removed that outlet because nobody could actually just prevent anyone from plugging a grinder or chipper or a mixer directly into that outlet and just blowing up the board. So
filters.
Yeah.
So how many are there?
There's one pre-filters, there's one carbon filters, and there's one HEPA filters.
Okay.
The pre-filters we recommend to changing it. Well, it's depending on the dust you're making.
How much?
But let's say each day at least change it once a day. If you're, let's say, grinding very close to it because you want to suck up that dust and use it as a vacuum, well, change it every hours. You know, it's only for a box of 10. You're almost like it's $10 a filter, so you're around $100 for 10 filters. So.
Okay.
So you're not $10 close.
So just be aware of the filters and just
exactly.
And it's also like you said, it depends on how much airborne dust there is.
Exactly.
That's what's going to clog up the filter at that
because
time.
if you're passing pre-filters, then you're clogging up HEPA filters. The HEPA costs a little bit much more to change than the pre-filters.
So let me ask you this question: how come the scrubber's not black and red?
Because it's actually the scrubber was part of the PHX line, not HTG line.
So. Okay, so it's going to become black and red.
Yeah,
maybe
in the near future.
Okay, I noticed that it was a lot of black and red. It looked really good, and then all of a sudden I see the scrubber, and I love scrubbers, but it's not black and red. That's all.
It's actually this product is it's a different line, so that's why it just came out different. We didn't, well, there's actually another scrubber on the market, red, so we had to come up with a different option. Black, well, we're working into dust, so it won't be looking black for a long time, so we decided to go gray for the dust.
It wouldn't be black. It's like a black car, right? It's the same
exactly,
thing.
It's the same thing, and us, we work with white dust, so, black is not the best. So
I want to ask you guys about how many different types of surfaces can you use the machines on, or is it just specifically concrete? Like, you can't get into other kinds of hardness materials, or can you? I'm assuming you can.
So if you get the expertise and knowledge too, but I wouldn't recommend, from going from zero to there, but you can do, terrazzo with them.
That's terrazzo was what I was thinking about.
People work
but
marble.
You need education and skill.
Exactly, because terrazzo is a complete different process.
Yes.
You get cementous terrazzo, you get epoxy terrazzo, two different base. They work completely different from each other because one is soft, one is hard. So you just need to get, the knowledge before going there, but it's two types of surface you can do. Some people, they work their way around with the lighter machine to do marbles and some, softer stones. But we do recommend to, use the swing buffers to do them because that's the original process.
Yeah, get more into a polishing state of mind instead of a grinding state of mind, right?
It's always about, those type of, marble, and it's always about polishing. So you're refreshing the polishing. So you're never really grinding it unless you're putting something over,
We had this customer wanted to polish marble, and he had a big surface to do, like 30,000 square feet. And he wanted to do it with a big grinder, 32-inch. And I was like, man, this is too heavy. You can't do that,
Yeah, because those...
Just didn't have the right advice. And it was his first big job he had. And
yeah, that would be a little nervous.
Yeah, so then I talked to Jonathan and, we gave the right advice to the guy. But,
Well, I'm just thinking like, yeah, sure, you've got bigger homes that have, they did that as a flooring. But I'm also thinking about churches and things like that. So you've got a lot of older natural stones that need to be...
It's a lot of terrazzo.
Yeah.
Schools, old church. There's a lot of terrazzo.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to grind terrazzo, you can grind it like anything else. It's going to be a softer material, so just, act as it's a soft concrete. But if you want to polish it, you want to restore it, you want to repair it, that's another different game completely.
I'm fascinated by terrazzo. I know that there's some courses here in Toronto. I'm sure there's some in Quebec as well too. I'd love to learn more about it because I think that's a material or an idea that could see a resurgence. I think a lot of people could be using it in new construction.
There's we feel like there's not much applicator for
well, that's the other thing is they're all dying off.
Exactly,
that's the unfortunate thing.
The one that's coming really into, it's not new, but it's it's very popular in the U.S. If you go in the U.S., all the Wawa stores and a lot of the commercial store, they're now done with the epoxy terrazzo.
Yeah,
it's a different process. You can control it, but now you can add all those fancy color. The blue, the red. All the not the hurt color, which from the cement you're getting. So now the epoxy terrazzo is getting very popular. If you look at the Montreal airport, all the new section has been done with it. It's all white and black, and they made this. But let's say in Montreal, there's only like one or two contractors that can do the job. So the thing is, you don't have much people to offer it. So what happened is at the same time it ramps up the price. So
and then people choose a different option.
Exactly. So, instead of, I heard some story about, in Montreal, $100 square foot for epoxy terrazzo.
It gets expensive.
It gets really expensive.
So then you choose a different option. It's
only for the terrazzo. So if your concrete's not good under, you have to get a budget to correct it first. So, that's where it gets really, really expensive. And I heard in the U.S. a lot of contractors are doing it at like $40, $50 square foot. So it's like half the price because there are way much more people offering.
Yeah, they're offering that.
And there's the temperature. Epoxy doesn't set well, under 10. So here it's very complicated with fast track project, and you just need to go fast. And so it's a thing that we see down in the U.S., but here not that much. There is
a strong love for concrete, eh? Like you get a lot of tradespeople that, like it's almost the same with people that do framing and they do woodworking. They have the same kind of passion for concrete. That's true. Like concrete poured and concrete new and then concrete refinished and kind of brought back to life. There's a lot of interesting people that have such a passion for it, and they always want these tools, right? But they also, in the beginning, they weren't very cautious of their health. You know what I mean? So they started doing this work dangerously. We all did it. Listen, we all did it. And that's why you guys are very conscious about the health and airborne. We all are guilty, including myself. There's plenty of times that your nostrils are all full of stuff and you blow your nose and you're like, wow, that's not mucus. I don't know what that is, right? So, but I mean, nowadays they're more conscious of it.
Yeah.
Now they care about it, but now they can build the business healthy. That's important.
Really.
It's I think it's a very good thing that they get more and more cautious, but it's not only for them now, but I mean it's for the whole construction site that you're working on.
Yeah, other tradespeople that are near you. Yes.
I saw a lot of situation now in Montreal that it's the other trades that complain now. So you see, the contractor doesn't even have a choice right now to ramp up his game, because if he doesn't do it, there's other contractor right now that are way much more compliant, and they understand way much more the condition of the others. I would say the old ways of doing construction, that we don't care about each other's and we don't care about the other people on the job site, and we just do our job and we finish and we go. Those days are over. Like you said, the younger people, they care about everything. They check. They want to make sure their health and their health and safety. But not only them, they're gonna check if the other one is doing, let's say demolition hammer right next to them. They're just gonna say it's not working like that. Stop that, or just I'm gonna go away. But it's gonna be the same thing with the grinder. If you're not working with a proper setup and you're doing a lot of airborne dust, well, the next trade is gonna come and it's gonna say, if this guy continue, I'm just gonna quit.
Not gonna work. I know.
I saw a very big, very big project in Montreal that a lot of trades, like 100 person, they were just, if you guys continue like that, we're just gonna stop.
And they have the right to say that.
Exactly.
I mean, I call it secondhand construction.
Exactly.
Because the thing is, you're putting all these other people at risk, but then they're being forced to do their job to get things done, because especially in commercial, there's deadlines and you have to open up, and when you don't open up, you're losing money at that point.
Exactly.
So you try to force other trades on there, but if you have all this airborne dust going on, you can't force them to work in there anymore.
And to answer your first question, you said there's a lot of people, they have a big passion for the concrete now, and we tend to see that a lot. And on our side, that's the best concrete polishers that you can get. The best concrete polishers are the ones that are very passionate about the concrete, because every job that you're going to get into is going to be a different job. So a lot of people, when they want to know more about polishing, we explain to them, and let's say they come from, epoxy business, they come from, prep side, demolition company wants to, add the polishing to their line that they're doing, their service they offer. I would say that most of the time I said, do you have those guys that are passionate about the concrete, or you only have those guys that just want to, get rid of the grinder as soon as they can to apply or do something else? I said, I don't have those, finishing guys, so I'm saying don't go into polishing side. The best polisher that we have right now are the ones that, they get on the job and they are ready and they understand that they're going to have to adapt, because most of the time a job is probably not going to be only one concrete. There's going to be like 2, 3, 4 different type of concrete on the same job because they did a patch. They poured that. The first truck was good. I had the second truck the next morning. We had a problem. He got stopped, in the tunnels or whatever. He got in a traffic jam. He arrived late. We had to pour it down, very wet. And, the whole hardness is completely different. So, on the same job, the guy has to adapt 3 times. But
That's
the result has to be the same. So I really, really feel you when you're saying, that we're seeing more and more passion, because we're seeing it into the polishing side. It's getting more and more bigger, and we're seeing more and more, passionate people. And those are the best polishers in the industry right now.
They're educating themselves.
Exactly.
Right? Am I a weird one? When I walk into warehouses, I stare at the concrete. I stare how smooth it is and how clean the floor is. Am I weird for doing that or something? I see all the shelves and I see everything all organized, but then I'm looking at the floor going, this is nice concrete. I wouldn't mind having this concrete inside my house. That's how nice it looks.
We are flooring guys, so
I just like look. But then also on the other side, when I see bad concrete in warehouses, and
directly notice it.
And you're hearing forklifts and the knives rattling, and they're just getting material, and you're like, oh,
exactly,
this is bad, right?
Exactly. But that's one big thing that's gonna differentiate you from the other contractor. Let's say that you're doing a floor, and let's say you're, I would say that's something that's coming very popular now in the industry. Everyone wants to leave it bare concrete, but they don't want to polish it. Sometimes they just want you to do 1 or 2 passes of metal bonds, and they just want to seal it. So we call it grind and seal. It's getting more and more popular. But I think the thing is, if your guys are not aware of what they're doing, you can see all the flaws in the floor.
You totally will.
And if a company adapts really well, they can get a lot of surfaces, because if it's, looks very flawless when they're doing it, well, they're just going to leave, a better card on the job than the other company is. So I would say that to all the companies that are doing polishing or, grinding right now, you should be adapting and making sure that your guys are making the right job right now, because the concrete as itself is getting more and more popular. And I would say that, instead of here, it's an office space, so it's normal to have carpet. But most of the corridor office space that we see, they just leave it concrete because it doesn't wear down. If they have to do sealers, well, they're just gonna, buff it up a little bit, put a new coat of sealers, and it's gone for another 5 years. So we're getting it. We're seeing it getting way much more popular than it was before.
But it's important to understand the techniques behind that, because that if you walk into warehouses that are supplying material for the construction industry, you're getting architects and engineers and designers walking through there. And it's almost like a calling card.
Yeah.
It's a business card at that point.
Oh, yeah.
As a small business, and you polish that, you actually had something to do with that, make that concrete look a certain way. Someone's going to look at that as they're looking at a tile, and they're going to be looking at a tile, and they're going to be looking at the floor. And they'll be like, why don't we do the floor?
Exactly.
Which everybody nowadays wants to get larger and larger and larger, which basically means just pour the concrete, polish it, grind it, set it up. That's what you want to do.
And in 5 years, if we're tired, we're just going to grind it off.
And do it again.
Do it something else. Exactly. Instead of having to remove the whole thing, grind the glue. Oh, there's a problem. You need to repair. There's extra budget. Now you're just working with the concrete as itself. So that's why it's getting more popular, because you can just control it.
A question back to the... what's the machine called? The one that cuts?
The shaver.
The shaver.
The shaver. Sorry, the shaver.
Yeah, but that's actually the one that we have, the CS320. It has both drums. You can shave with it and you can scarify with it. That's something special about it that the competition doesn't have. Yeah.
And I'm eventually going to get to you guys about how we switching these blades, how we switching everything. Like, is it easy?
It's going to be the same way as if you were replacing the drum. Let's say that your blades are finished. You have to open the side door. And there's on the blade drum, there's only like 2 brackets. You just loosen them up and you just slide them out.
That's it?
Yeah, it takes, if everything went well, 20 minutes, you can change it. Worst case scenario, 1 hour, you can swap it. But most of the machine on the market right now, they require yourself to rewire the whole motor to go lower speed, or change the pulley on the side to go lower speed. We have a custom motor on the unit with the drive. You can actually select the speed that you want. So the drive send the right RPM to the motor, so you can run lower RPM for the cutters, and you can run faster RPMs with the blade. So that's one of the big plus of our units is for the same price as the others. You get both drum and you can do both work and you can swap them out in 1 hour.
It's efficiency.
Exactly.
What other new toys you guys working on right now
That one.
that you can share? You can't share anymore. Right? No, there's nothing new.
There's actually in testing right now with iTech. There's a new shaver milling machine. It's gonna be laser controlled, so a little bit bigger than.
So it will be able to tell you where the high spots are, or
actually you gotta you gotta see it as the same way as they're doing the road. So somebody's gonna set one level, and let's say that you're hitting that spot at one place, you're 1 inch off, while this unit's just going to cut that 1 inch off by laser. So it's just going to cut
no matter
off.
if the grade goes up or down,
No,
it's just cutting
the whole
that.
machine as itself is controlled by hydraulic.
Yeah.
So it's way much bigger than, you know, the portable units like we just discussed, but it's bringing the whole game to another level. Let's say you're doing big warehouse, and now, you know, most of the warehouse they have autonomous lift. So, you know, let's say Amazon and stuff like that, they don't have any driver. But those lifts, as soon as they hit a bump, sometimes they just stop for no reason.
Yep.
So they get, you know, out of order. So they have to find a way, you know, to correct those floors and make sure they're super flat. So we're seeing on the brand new concrete, we're seeing, you know, those new technology with those new big machine that, you know, laser grade. But in the prep side, we didn't saw that, you know, that much. There's like one machine in Europe, and it's like more than 2 million for a unit. And now with iTech, we're bringing, you know, a very small portable unit, a little bit bigger than the shaver that we just discussed. But this unit, you'll be able to set it up, just get on it, and, you know, you'll be able to shave 400 millimeter wide laser from 1 inch to 2 inch. That's something that we're working right now with
That's
them.
impressive,
Yeah.
right? Because nobody's doing that right now.
No, not portable.
Not portable.
Most of them, it's road stuff and it's huge stuff, and you know, it's not in a portable way. But the thing is, when you're getting, you know, that precise, most of the time the problem is going to be the operator behind the machine. You know?
Yeah.
Your operator has to be so skilled. That
I know,
it's
but that's difficult. Even if you're so skilled, that's still extremely difficult
Exactly.
to maintain that skill set.
So one of the things that happen on the road is they just, you know, prevent the whole, you know, graining stuff and having somebody to check the heights and everything. Now everyone is on the same page, just, you know, all laser controlled. So if you can apply the same thing to the height correction on a job, let's say that one guy can operate 1 or 2, 3 machine, because you just need somebody to press forward and reverse on the machine. That's it.
Is there a cup holder on the machine? Right on. There is one.
Most of those autonomous units they
I'm
have.
assuming that there'd be for the coffee, right?
I-
No. Is there for coffee and for espresso, or is it just coffee?
Yeah, actually, there's two cup holder spots, so you can.
Do you guys ever need to? I guess would you? I don't know. Asphalt? Would you have to ever? No, I don't think you need to grind asphalt. You'd be removing asphalt, right? So I don't think you grind asphalt.
We met a guy in.
Yeah, we were pretty. That was.
Oh, really? He grinds asphalt?
Yeah, because, you know, we talked about it because we had got a guy in Ottawa who needed
That's
to do
funny
a
we're bringing
road
that.
job, and you know, we just talked about, you know, if we cannot do it with a grinder because of the abrasion, you know, it's just gonna turn into a kind of glue, and
Yeah.
it's not gonna work, you know. And I was talking to this guy. He's from Spain, and he that's what they do. They grind asphalt. So he showed me the whole process in the videos, and it was kind of complicated because he manufactured with a tooling company. He manufactured a special recipe for the tooling that he puts under the machine, and he explained me the whole thing. And honestly, I don't really remember it because it was really
It was a
complicated.
unique process.
Really?
Yeah. So it's the first time I heard that, because everything I ever always heard from these guys and asphalt is that you can't really
But
do
as
that.
soon as
know?
you heat it up, I mean,
It activates it, so
it
then it
activated
becomes
and it just spread out.
Yeah,
you know?
it becomes like a goop or
This
something.
guy showed us video that you know, he was actually, you know, grinding the whole surface, and then he was applying a new kind of, you know, cement that he developed, and it acts as a sealer, and then regrinds it, and, you know, it becomes as a brand new asphalt. So
And then I was like, how do you do that? Like, it wouldn't work here in Canada because of the cold, you know, summer, winter, all the seasons. And he's like, oh, we're in the part of Spain where in Europe there's the more change of temperature. So sometimes it can be like 0 at night, and then day it can be like 18. He's like, what? That sounds like Montreal or Canada or Toronto, whatever.
It's the
you
same
know?
weather conditions, but
Yeah.
what would be the reasoning why he would have to change the height or grind down asphalt on a road
Actually,
surface?
it was mostly as we were speaking.
Correcting, I
yeah,
think.
correcting it. Just
correcting it.
Yeah, just leveling it.
Oh, so would it
Because
be
you
like
know, probably with the
asphalt.
water and everything, and, you know,
so
the rocks get exposed.
overused? Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
So now it was just becoming smooth again and just, you know, flat.
It kind of
Then he
makes
was
sense.
putting up.
That's
After
the first time I heard
pass,
something like that.
He was putting a resin, he told me, like a resin sealer or something like that. And then they go over it to correct it.
Yeah.
And he was telling me how he liked doing that because, you know, doing outdoor work, some details, some things that are not perfect, you know, it's not going to be like an inside job. They're not going to be like, hey, this part, just like it's outdoors. So the process of finishing the job, even if it's not perfect at some places, it was really easier than working inside. But I got his contact and I was like, man, we really got to like talk more
It's
about
an interesting
this
conversation to
because
talk about, yeah.
I wish he was here to be able to speak more detail about it because it was really technical, the approach he had. But the guy had like 20 years of experience in that. And actually he uses our machines over there in Spain. So it's pretty...
I want you guys to sell your machines to every single city in Canada because whenever you walk on our sidewalks, you know what I'm talking about, right? I don't know who it is. I want to catch him one day. I don't know who it is, but I want to catch him one day when you get the sidewalk where it just moves because of winter and they come along with my grinder that I use that I threw out and they just grind a tiny bit of it, but it's still a bump and it's annoying, right?
It's still a thing that we see now to correct it. They just get
That's the
grinder
correction that they
out
come up
and,
with
yeah.
when you guys could take your machine and fix the whole piece and it's
Exactly.
perfectly smooth.
That's where it comes, you know, about the education. You know, the more and more we're gonna do marketing, the more and more we're gonna expose. And like I said, you know, the just the shaving machine as itself. So many people they don't know about it. They don't know what to do with it because most of it is not gonna be. Most of it's not going to be like, you know, you're not going to get on a job to actually shave. You know, you're going to get there for other reason, and this is going to be an extra to it. But, you know, most of the people, they don't know about it. They just still use that 8-inch or 10-inch Scarifier that removes, you know, 1/8 per passes. And then you have this unit that you can use, and, you know, if depending on how aggressive you want to be, you can go from 3/8 to 1/2 inch, you know.
How strong is your machine? Because I know what a hand grinder. If you were to put your machine down and you just left it there and you just kept on applying pressure for it,
The shaver?
yeah, or
the grinder?
a grinder, and it started just going down and down and down, like it's just going to keep on grinding away at it, right?
Yeah, but then you're not supposed to do that.
No, okay, no, because you're going to wear it out. But I'm just trying to figure out that it's probably a lot easier. It's like butter, right? It's just going to keep on going through eventually, right?
You're going to create a donut and nobody's going to like you for
No,
that.
no, I know. Now you're going to have a hole there.
And you have to fix it.
And then you got to fix it.
Yeah, but on the machine as itself, you know, there's protection, and that's part of, you know, the certification that we do on it. You know, when we get the iTech machine, we actually, you know, that's the partnership we're doing with them is we strip the whole machine down from the electrical part, and we just recreate a new electrical side to it that is compliant to the certification. We do the protection on it, the big disconnects, we put the fuses everywhere. That's part of the job that we're doing with them as right now the assembler for North America. That's why it's high-tech grinding North America. And, you know, we make sure that, you know, those overload settings are properly set up in the machine. So even if you're grinding, hitting something or anything, it's all about, you know, the configuration that you put in. Protection to make sure that, you know, if anything happens, it's just going to stop, you know. That's part of, you know, having, I would say, a certified equipment from a non-certified equipment that is not protected.
And the certified line has a few, like, upgrades. You know, we have more powerful engine, CSA servo motors, CSA batteries on it. You know, we changed almost 3.5 meters of wiring in the machine, you know, to be all compliant. So, you know, it's a lot of work that the engineering team, you know, this guy, John, he works with us. He's really a great guy and a lot of experience. He worked, almost a year. We certified almost the whole line. We only have the tank that's missing to be certified and this last shaver. So, you know, we almost certified like...
Everything's in the process right now, almost
12
finished.
units. Those are going to be finished within the next month. So we know we're going to get them. But this guy, John Lee, he did an amazing work with us, the engineering team guys. So a big shout out to him because without him, it wouldn't be possible, all this, you know. Yeah. Everybody put a lot of work into this project. at the driving, the
It's
going
making
to see customers.
It's making a dent. Like everyone's paying attention now. They're understanding that the tool is important.
Oh yeah,
It has been a long drive since
we drove a lot since July.
Since 1 year. I mean, in January last year, we went to Vegas to actually handshake with iTech to start the project. We had no machine from them. We had nothing. And we started, having the first machine with them in March. And from March, we started to disassemble all the units and reassemble them and, put all the new components into it, find the new drive, new protection, the new fuse and everything. Even from the battery charger inside the unit, it has to be, compliant. So in 9 months, we did the whole reverse, engineering in the machine, rebuild the whole thing, and thank God that our engineer, like Guillermo just said about John, and the guy from the iTech grinding company, they were working together so hard to make sure that this project would go fast. But now you can buy an iTech grinding machine CSA compliant that you couldn't buy last year. It was impossible. And that's what we're bringing to the CCE. We're bringing all the units that we just, finished the whole certification process.
They're all available now.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's why you get a 3-year warranty, because we put so much work into it, so we can back it up and give that to the customer.
A warranty that we take care of.
So it's going to be a busy 2024.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's going to be a busy 2024.
It's crazy to see how the whole team work, between like some of the engineering guys doing that work, us pushing, with the customers, doing the demos, driving all those crazy hours that we did, and
all the back and forth.
The technicians, Greg, our technicians, without him too, it wouldn't be possible. Everybody puts so much effort into this.
Yeah, you guys have met so many concrete people.
We're really, everybody's aligned in our company, so that it really makes us like understand each part of it, and everyone respects it, and it makes it really nice to work together because everybody sees the value in what everyone is doing. So, I really think we're going the next step, So that's why we didn't really push before, because, we really wanted to wait to have everything certified, the parts ready, the team ready, the technicians ready. We didn't want to put forward a product, and, for sure there's going to be some bumps in the road and some stuff, but we wanted
That's learning.
Yeah. So we wanted to be able to push and be able to back it up. And right now it's been a little, I would say maybe a few months, maybe 2 months. We're really at that point. So that's where we did the building show, Vegas. We're doing CC right now. And, we're just going at it. So
that's it. Then that's it. No more shows for the year. It's just a matter of delivering machines.
I think we have pretty much on our plate right now, and developing, the company with all the new models that are certified now. We just got, the whole inventory coming in last week. So now all the teams are working to assemble those units right now in the shop. We have a lot of deliveries to do. We have a couple of deliveries in the U.S. to do right now. So me and him, as soon as the building show's finishing, we're going to deliver, because like I said, every first unit that somebody purchases, we have to deliver by hand to them. So we're taking the big truck that we brought here for the CCE. We're taking the same truck, loading it up with all the units for everyone, and we're just going to go drive down the road. We have some deliveries to do down in the south. We're going to handshake with everyone that, wants to get on the boat.
That's good that
we even sold one in Puerto Rico. I'm doing that one.
He's having all the vacation time.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're going to check that one then on the plane?
We're sending it, and I'm going to go right there. I'm taking care of it.
Yeah, it's going to be his luggage.
I want to see it checked on the plane. That's what I want. I want to see the face of the salesperson there at the counter.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so definitely, you guys are going to turn over the machine at the end of the last day on CCE. I want to see the machine turned over and check it out in person. So around what, like 3 o'clock or so?
Anytime you want.
No worry, but you got to wait until the end, I guess, towards the end of the time there. I'll pass by. I want to pass by and check it out.
And anytime you want to pass by, we can, tilt it down. We can explain the whole thing.
Okay.
To show you the suspension we're talking that, make it very stable. We can show you how well balanced it is, because that's one of the most shocking things is when somebody compare it to another grinder, they're actually very shocked to see that it's more heavy than the others because it's gear driven. So, of course, it's going to be more heavy.
Control driven. It's control driven.
No, I mean the bottom, instead of being belt driven, it's gear driven.
But I mean, when I say control driven, I mean it's better control.
Yeah, exactly.
Of the unit. That's
exactly.
why,
so the way they designed it, they make sure that even if it's more heavy on the head, so you're getting a lot of grinding pressure, but at the same time, you have to make sure that the balancing of the unit is very good. So when you're tilting it back to change the tooling under, you have to make sure that it's not only a 250-pound guy that can do it.
Yeah.
So actually, that's the most shocking answer that we were getting in Vegas is that everyone was like, "Hey, 1,400 pounds. It's not a a lightweight grinder. It's very heavy. How hard is it to tilt it?" Well, we said, "Just try it." And they just tilted by themselves, not swinging too hard and not going crazy. And those guys, they were like 175 pounds.
Even the biggest one, the 955, almost 1,800 pounds. It's really impressive. It's really not that hard to put down.
It's a big Harley. It's a
you
very big Harley with a big stereo on it. That's what that.
Exactly. This one you need to swing a little bit harder to tilt it.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad, but
when you're a concrete boy, it's okay. Concrete life. That's what we say.
We got. So you're okay at CCE. You guys are going to be there. You guys are going to get back on the show. We're going to do a live show right then and there, so we can talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hall 3, booth number 3201 is where you guys will be. But then you guys will also be live on our show on Hall 1 at 1106. The booth number there. I got to do the 12 questions of construction.
Yep.
And then I think that we covered everything. I'm trying to think of is there anything else that we didn't cover?
I just wanted to, tell about the line. We talked about the Scarifier, the shaver, and we said the grinder, but there's going to be the shot blaster too. So we do have
you mentioned the shot blaster, but we didn't dive into it.
We didn't dive into it, but we do have a nice shot blaster that everyone should be, if you're into the shot blasting industry, you should be coming to our booth and see it, because the shot blaster as itself is all battery propelled. So if you're pushing it up a ramp, because most of them they're used in parking decks, you have a battery to transport it. So that's the main features of that unit. It's all electronically controlled, so easy for the operator. But when you transport it, instead of push it by hand, it's battery transport. So
that's brilliant.
You're saving a lot of efforts on this. We've all been there, doing the shot blaster and parking decks, and you have to go down and up the ramps, and you have to 2-3 guys to push it up.
It's a hard job. And
all those units, they're battery transported.
And they're all available now.
Yeah, they are.
And you guys will have it at the show.
Yeah.
So we can
We're actually showcasing a 20-inch, because the 10-inch is rented in Montreal right now, so it's on a demo. We're showcasing the 20-inch. There's a 30-inch coming in and a 48 too in the near, I would say, summer.
You guys got some nice toys there, man. All right. Hang on a sec. www.htgnorthamerica.com, 514-531-1729. Guillermo, Jonathan, and info at htgnorthamerica.com. You ready for these questions?
Yeah.
Do you guys know these questions? Did Lewis give Lewis name these questions? There's no right or wrong. What's your favorite construction word?
We got to keep grinding, baby.
It's a good one.
But it's more on the French side, but
what is it?
Faut continuer à grinder.
It means the same.
Yeah, it means the same, but
sounds better in French.
Yeah, because we do a lot of French and English word, but we're used to make all those hours. In normal day, we're 12 hours back in the day, so after 5 to 5, you still have to grind, baby.
15 hours.
15.
What's yours, Guillermo?
I was working for my father, so
hurry up, get the fucking job done.
What's your least favorite tool?
I would say definitely the hand grinder. Hand grinder.
Oh. We all have the same in the common, the hand grinder.
Oh my god!
It's not designed for that. It just gets so hot.
Have you ever done walls with it?
Yeah.
That's the most painful job to do.
Wait a minute.
Shower walls and stuff like that for coating. Oh.
Have you guys gotten vertical?
Yeah. No, not with the high-tech.
No. Is that coming in the future?
We wish to have something, but I think that if you look at the the big tool maker right now, they're coming with the exo suit, you know,
Yes,
to
yes,
help you
yeah.
out lift. So
Yeah.
I think that it would make no sense if you have those units that you can, you know, work around to make a specific design unit for, you know, grinding the wall when you can use that tool to help you push the
Yeah.
grinder up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that it would be pointless for now, but
No,
I
no,
know
no.
that there's some
But I don't-
prototype.
do you
for
really
this.
need to?
I don't think so.
I don't think you'd really need to.
I don't think so.
I think that just goes into the cool bucket. That's
Exactly.
all it is. Same thing, grinder, right? What construction sound do you guys love?
A nice grinder functioning, I would say. It's the sound of money.
It's true. It does sound like money.
I kind of like the jackhammer when it like just breaks it up. I don't know. It's like so aggressive.
This guy's
I
aggressive.
know. I don't know, man. It's just like
He's young.
It's a beast.
That's
man.
why. What's your favorite beverage?
Whiskey.
Whiskey.
Coffee.
Coffee in the
I
morning.
guess he's driving.
On a job site, coffee.
Coffee.
It's all about it.
What's the worst and best part about construction?
I think the best part is, you know, when you see the result of what you've done after so much hard work and, you know, all the bumps you can get on the road in construction. When you see the end result, I think it's really, you know, gratifying.
I would say I would align on you with that. I mean, you know, going from nothing to, you know, let's say we take the concrete floors, going from nothing, you know, let's say just a rock grade, to, you know, pouring out a nice flat concrete, and then you're grinding it out, doing the polishing, and having a super nice result that the customer just walk in and say, "Wow, I just love my floor." I mean, it's all about it. You know,
Sure.
we're working for it.
What don't you guys like?
Getting screamed at to finish the job, like really insane people.
I mean,
The negativity.
Yeah, you sums it up.
exactly.
Yeah.
I would say all the, you know,
It's not necessary.
all the pressure about, you know, finish right now, or, you know, you know, all the mind game about it, that, you know, you have to be finished right now, or somebody else going to take your place. I mean, this whole mentality is going away,
Yeah,
you know, with the
experience it.
younger one. But, you know, I remember that when I was working, because I was going to say before that I worked for my father, and, you know, 24 hours straight, 48 hours straight. I mean, we all been there, you
Yep.
know, and if you're not doing it, somebody else is going to do it, you know.
Yep.
So I think that the whole thing, I'm just, you know, happy that it's going away.
What's your favorite curse word?
It's in French.
Me, it's in
This
Spanish.
this is an international podcast.
Me, it's in
It's in
Spanish.
Spanish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Coño de la madre.
That's a bad one.
That's
Come
a
on,
bad
that's
one,
a bad one.
I would say the famous curse word in French, but you can hear it on every job site, mais tabarnak.
Tabernacle.
He knew.
No, we've had French people on the show before. It comes up. That's always the one that comes up. What's your favorite vehicle? Any mode of transportation?
I would say pickup truck, Ram 3500 dually, and summer car, I would say Ferrari SF90.
The hybrid?
Yeah, I know it has a little hybrid motor, but it's still a sick car.
I got a line with that. I mean, the whole company has Ram trucks, so
They're all dualies?
we have actually 2 dualies. We have 4 2500, and yeah.
See, you guys say dually.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I was like, yeah, they look cool. Like that shoulder in the back, really cool. I get older, 6 tires. 6 tires.
We
Yeah,
still
you're
use the dually word because we find it cool, but, you know, for HTG, we just got a 3500 9th edition black, so it just
With the trailer and everything. It looks
with the trailer
Did you
wrapped
drive
up.
it here?
We're
Yeah.
going to have it at the show, yeah.
At the show, you're gonna
Yeah,
have
so
it.
if you guys pass
Well,
by
when
the
we're
show,
setting
you,
up and we'll pass by, we'll
Yeah.
take some pictures with it or something.
you should
Yeah,
be
yeah.
able to see the whole line, but, you know, we put a little.
It's black and red?
Yeah, it is.
Black and red. What do you guys miss from your childhood?
Ooh. Playing baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, playing baseball.
That paycheck that I didn't get for making all those hours.
It was
That's a
paid.
good one.
It was paid in other ways.
Like my father said, you're investing on your future right now.
Yeah, but you had a truck.
Oh, I had a truck in exchange.
That was the deal.
You could be making 100 hours, Don't complain.
Complain about your pay, you can sleep in the truck. What profession other than your own would you guys like to attempt one day? What else you guys want to do outside of this?
I mean, construction?
No, it could be anything. Anything in the world.
Sell bracelets and rent jet skis somewhere down south.
Oh, in the beach.
Oh, yeah, I would do that. I would be really good at doing that.
There's no grinding there.
No, but it's like...
It's a different kind of grinding.
You said
Different kind of grinding.
Exactly. It's been grinding all my life.
I honestly never thought about that because I spent so many hours doing that. There was one thing that, when I was grinding the floor back in those days, I was actually eating that. And I was... My goal, my ultimate goal was to take over the side that sells the equipment and rent them to actually manage it. So I would say that right now I'm doing it.
Okay.
So
I'm
in that position right now where I'm happy and I'm not even working every day. I mean, I get up and just enjoy it. I get on the road with him and go everywhere.
What profession would you guys not like to do?
Be a dentist.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to.
Those foot worker guys, that's kind of a line in.
The podiatry, okay.
Pedantry.
Really? Yeah, you just feed it all day long.
Yeah, the one that remove all the
you mean pedicure and stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
the one that's gonna remove all the from those construction worker guys. They're just gonna shave it and
bring
smooth
in
it.
a grinder for that.
Yeah, exactly. Different kind of grinder.
Last question: if heaven exists, what would you guys like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
Oh, I think he would say, "Man, I didn't think you would make it here. Now you're here. Congratulations.
Come on in."
Holy shit, that I would say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I would say exactly the same thing.
Wasn't expecting you, but come on in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 year ago. No. Never expected that.
What? Sorry?
No, I mean, I never expected to be there, where I'm at right now, Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot.
How long you guys known each other?
It's been, 5 years?
Oh,
6 years?
5 years.
That's one of the craziest stories.
That's crazy.
We gotta say it before.
Okay,
before
share
wrapping
it.
Up. Actually, one day I was going for thinking about swapping my car because I had a car and my father was saying go get a pickup truck because it's gonna be more convenient for the job and everything. I was still doing job sites, so at one point I just decided that I had a girlfriend back in the days that I used to go through that Dodge dealer every time that I went to her parents' home. So one day I just decided that, you know what, I need a truck. I'm going to stop there. And who was my salesman? This Dutch guy. Yeah.
What are the odds of that, eh?
And it was 7 years ago.
No, it was in 18. 18.
6 years ago.
So that's why the dually.
Oh, yeah.
So he used to sell the Dodge. We used to love them. So we just get along. No, he just, he went, we just, at the first, it was the first time that I felt, not being robbed by a salesman. I mean, not the traditional, sales and customer.
Sales pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, he was very, listening to all our inquiries that we had because we're kind of, because we have volume and my father's kind of a, picky guy, so he has a lot of requests, and this guy was listening to everything, was making sure that we're getting taken care of, which is I never experienced in car sales at all. And it's all went from there to, crazy Florida stories that we met again in Chutters.
Yeah. We just really built a great trustworthy relationship.
Yeah.
And, we just really connected. And then I went on some different business ventures. I started my own stuff in consulting for sales and management in the construction division, but it was really not about concrete at that time. So I did that startup in the United States, and he was in Florida on vacation, and I was too. So, we were both in business, different ways, and it was we're 2.5 hours away from each other.
Easy.
And I was like, man, no, you're here, I'm here.
That's
we
weird,
talked about the project.
Just got met.
That's
Just have to
weird.
We talked about the project a year before for some other stuff, and then I was like, man, we have to meet. And when we met that time and we talked so much, I think that was in May or something, or end of April.
It was in May.
Yeah, 23.
In the middle of nowhere in Florida, we just met at
What are the odds of that?
Yeah, and I had a lot of bumps in the road in my project over there. It was kind of, but it's business, it's life. And then we just connected. It was like, man, we got to do something. So I did a little work over there for these guys. And when I came back to Montreal, we just sat out together, and we was like, we both were the same opinion. I think we need to work together. And actually, it just worked out really good. The connection he has, the background he has. I was in construction before too, so I have that in me, and I have really the customer approach, and about informing, helping. I don't believe in pressure. I believe in building up value, and he has so much experience
Building
in the field.
relationships.
Yeah, that's what I think we master, and it's genuine, so it really makes us a pretty good team, I would say. Yeah, man.
Very strong team.
Yeah,
and
man.
honestly, that's exactly what I like about him. Is it's not about a sales pitch. He understands totally the side that when I was selling the units to a customer, I always tell about adding the value to their business.
Form, understand.
We're not here to sell you that grinder, even if it's, let's say, $50K for a grinder. I'm not here to sell you that unit if it's not exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Let's say that you're talking about having a smaller units because that's what fits you, and the bigger one's going to come later. I'm going to sell you the smaller one because I'm going to explain to you why you need this one, instead of hating me for selling you a big grinder that's going to be sitting in a corner because you can't use it. Mm-hmm. It's all about we're trying to add value to the customer. We're trying to align them in the right way when we're speaking to them, and that's exactly what he's always been doing when we were even buying trucks or stuff like that. We always had the same alignment was to take care of the customer, make sure they're properly trained, make sure that they know exactly what they're purchasing of, make sure they get great values out of it, and that's what we've been pushing on. That's why we just align so good together, and man, we've been driving
It
so
must be
much
good. It
together.
must be good to deliver one to a client. Like you guys said earlier, how you guys always hand deliver the first one to the client,
They
right?
see the commitment, and it's nice to see the customer, how happy he is. Usually they buy it, you get it on the pallet, you never see nobody.
It's like, you guys bring me money. You brought me money.
But us, it's like we value the trust you give us, and we want to build that relationship between our customers. And maybe this guy does this type of work and he gets a parking management job, and I can refer you to my guy. Build a network around high tech, build the culture around high tech. That's what we want to do.
We're always talking about adding value. What's best that if we're leaving from Montreal, or even if we're here, we're just leaving with the equipment, getting to your place, even if it's in London or Brampton or whatever it is, even if it's 2-3 hours of drive, how much we can, press our words on saying adding value by getting to you and actually handshake you.
We had a guy in Halifax, he needed us like 4-day notice, something like that. We had some other stuff to do. We rearranged. He really needed us. And we were in Halifax 3 days after.
It's 12 hours drive. Wow. Load up the trailer and just go.
Well, it's 12 hours from Montreal.
Yeah. Not from here.
We're in Montreal. But we also have the shop in Mississauga, so we have the 2 locations. But at that time, we're leaving from Montreal.
Now he's going to Puerto Rico to deliver a small scary fire. I mean, the unit as itself is $4,000. So, we're going to be picking money from our pocket just to do that delivery.
But there's a purpose behind it.
But there's a purpose behind it.
You're building a culture.
Exactly.
Right.
And if this guy feels good and feels confident, he will wants to grow up his business around those equipment. He will he can rely on us. So that's adding the value.
And I still think today in 2024, one of the best marketings you can get is word of mouth.
Of course.
Yeah. It's wow, So yeah, and I think it's a good thing that we really get along really good, because with all those hours in the truck and everything, it wouldn't be good, boom, getting into a fight or something.
More than, in 6 months, more than
I don't know how many hours.
40,000 kilometers.
Oh yeah.
The brand new truck that we purchased 2 months ago is already 20,000 kilometers.
I did with
2 months ago.
The 3500 dually.
Yeah,
He's already 20,000 kilometers.
We had a new service truck that we did for the tech service. I used for 1 month. I did 9,000 kilometers in December, in 3 weeks.
We always
in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Back and forth everywhere. Halifax.
Battery,
We just
this, that.
Wow.
and we always do that together. So it's a good thing we get along.
That's too much of a commute. Well, You guys are in Toronto now, so there's lots of traffic.
Exactly.
Lots of traffic in Toronto.
We know that in Montreal too.
Yeah, you guys have a lot there as well too. Guys, it's an absolute pleasure meeting you guys, and thank you so much for being on the show and
Thanks
sharing.
for having us.
Looking forward to seeing you at the show. It's going to be fun. I want to see the machines. I want to check them out.
Yeah.
I'll take the remotes, treat it like a drone. I'll make it go all over the show.
Obrigado, money.
Obrigado, Bill. Guillermo, thank you so much. Jonathan, thank you so much. Everybody, again, www.htgnorthamerica.com. Phone number 514-531-1729. And then reach out to them on their email, info@hdgnorthamerica.com.
Thanks for having us.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're out of here, Angelina.